I've had like over the past couple of years with functional patterns and just like body image and what that all means. So you have like women and girls that have body shapes that are in within the social like paradigm are acceptable, but they still develop these body dysmorphia like conditions. And
Sure, yeah.
I think even guys, they go through that a lot. Like I was obvious, not obvious, but like I have muscle tone naturally,
Uh-huh.
and I have like pretty big muscles, but I could see in myself or like with my own eyes that they weren't laying right. And I wouldn't call it like dysmorphia, but I had an instinctual like need to change the shape of my body. And I wonder if like we talk about, I don't remember what it's called, like maybe your limbic system, where it's like your more autonomous functions happening.
Sure.
Like I wonder if that's like your limbic system telling you like, hey, we need to change something in our body, like with these girls and women who, for social standards, look healthy and normal, like, but maybe they got like a huge anterior
Yes.
pelvic shift
Okay.
that wouldn't be caught by like the layman's eye. Like,
And so
maybe that dysmorphia that they're experiencing is this, I don't know, this like the inside voice trying to get out and be like, we need to change, we need to get to functionality.
Honestly,
it's really interesting.
That is very interesting. So check this out. Like we said, a hyperflaccid structure is correlated with higher levels of anxiety, right?
Oh yeah.
So it could be that, like you're saying, you know, there's something inside the body that's saying we need to change how our body is structured. That signal gets misinterpreted to, oh, I'm not skinny enough, I'm not this, that, whatever.
Yeah.
That's
And
interesting,
all we have are the tools that have been given to us by our culture or like how we've been socialized. And that includes being fat or lean, being like, having your shoulders back or having your shoulders forward. That's about the extent of
man.
Like the standard set of knowledge, standard set of tools.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I'm so grateful that we've been able to come to this where now just the level of awareness that we can have in our body is much higher. And it leads you to be more comfortable too, man. As your structure stabilizes, and even kind of what you said about coffee, it was, you catch yourself a little bit. You're like, maybe I betray myself by saying that out loud. But I
can't lie to myself anymore. It's so hard with this layer on top. It's so hard.
Dude, that was one of the things I wanted to tell you about. And honestly, I feel like it's difficult to put into words exactly, but as your structure changes, your values change. Your kind of thinking changes. And I told you, I'd be saying this to myself, like, this is some dysfunctional shit, bro. Why am I doing this?
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's funny how it unravels. I could see dysfunctional behaviors like a mile away. Like I'm like, oh, that's gonna have to go. Like I put it off, and then like once I clean everything else, clean all the other rooms out, it's like, okay, it's time to.
You're like, all right,
get down and dirty, do the dishes. I gotta do them. But,
no more coffee.
I don't know. It's an interesting relationship you have with the old like behaviors. Like you almost mourn for them, but you're happy that they're in a better place.
Yeah, man, it's really crazy. I had the idea too that like over time it's gonna be so strange to be like to think about how your body used to be, and I started thinking about it like since I started training FP, it feels like I'm on my third body basically, getting progressively more functional as I go along. Still dysfunctional, but getting progressively more. And I started thinking about like how many bodies we had over our entire life. Just from being a kid to being a little bit older to being a little bit older. Then once you start putting in inputs intentionally, it's a whole new game. Because now it's like, okay, I'm going to start benching. I'm going to start squatting. And those inputs, you have no idea how they're going to affect you down the line. There's no way to know, bro. You're 16. You start lifting weights. How the fuck are you going to know what's going to happen in another 5 years of you doing that?
Yep. It's, man, it's, how could we instill that foresight into like youth youth before they go and make all the decisions to change the shape of their body without knowing the repercussion.
Yeah, I think
That's like that's a huge thing. But I guess that's what I try to do with my like younger clients.
yeah, you're doing it.
So I try to do with all of them.
We're all doing it, bro, with the people that we train, and just by having conversations like this, open up people's mind. Just ask the simple question. Yo, let me tell you a story, bro. So you probably read this story. Did you read the monkey paw?
You tell.
I'm gonna give you super abridged version, okay? Super abridged. So basically, is a guy and his wife, and they find like they're gardening in the backyard or some shit, and they find a monkey paw, and it's got 3 fingers like that, and it gives you 3 wishes.
Yeah.
And so you make a wish, and 1 finger goes down, but it's like the thing, man. Be careful what you wish for. So they wish for blah blah blah, and then they wish for a lot of money. And their son dies, and they get a huge inheritance from the insurance. And then there's 1 finger left on the monkey paw, and they're like, please bring him back. And then actually, I think the first wish was that they get money, and then the son dies, and then they wish to bring him back. And then there's a zombie at the door, and then they wish, okay, please make him go away. And it's so funny, dude, because this is what happened in my life, bro. I wished on the monkey paw, like, I just want to look strong. I want to be, I want people to see me like perform athletically and say, okay, this guy's on our team, And that was what I wished for, but I didn't know that it comes with a bunch of other stuff.
Natural law is like perfect. The consequences of whatever direction you engage with the natural law with are perfectly proportional. And I have the same thing. So I was like I was an NSCA All-American in college. Like nice. I lifted I think the award is like for the most, like you get better at your sport the most, and they think it's because of the weightlifting that you've done. And I think I did get better at my sport, but I got the monkey paw. I got all these injuries.
Right. Yeah.
With it, and now I've got like years of undoing it, but that's okay. I'm super grateful for the health I've inherited. I appear to have a body that is. I feel fortunate at how quickly I can change it.
Yeah. So, also, you were probably able to take a good beating. Like me personally, I think I have good genetics as well because the beating that I took, it was unbelievable, bro.
Yeah, I don't understand. When I go back and look at what I did, I squatted like 4 days a week, 75% of my max twice a day, and for months and months and months, and I just it hurts.
It hurts to think about, right?
I feel my hips now. My hips are smashed. Like those are going to be some of the last things to get.
That's
feeling right.
That's what you really got to get into.
A lot of work on them.
Yeah. So a beautiful metaphor that you had used was there was a few. There's something else I wanted to ask you about too, which is farmer strength. If you can remind me about that after this. So basically you had said that now when you move, it feels like you're cracking whips, and before it felt like you were firing pistons. And I thought that was a great metaphor for the idea of a sling. So if you want to add on to that a little bit, like what is a sling? Everybody hears the term now.
The sling, I guess I don't know a dictionary definition. The way I've been observing it and the way I've been sensing it is it's like your sail. So you push into a sling to okay, so we'll talk about like what it is. It's your connected myofascial structures. So muscle and fascia created like this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fully.
Do you think it's fair to call it a kinetic chain?
Well.
Do you think it's fair to call it a kinetic chain? Do you think the term kinetic chain does this?
It stores your, like, the potential energies that you create via elastic reciprocation. So that, for someone who's not, like, doing it every day, that might not be an adequate definition. But, I think about it as, like, my sail. The sails that I push into. So I will contract a muscle in order to potentiate another muscle, and that sling on the other side of the contraction, or that's what I've been thinking of as the sling, I don't know if that's technically correct. I'm sure it's only partially correct, but maybe you could do a better job of putting it into words.
I think what you say is correct. It's like you press into one side. Basically, it's a long kinetic chain with a lot of elastic potential. Like
Yeah.
that, the X on your body. Oh, sorry. The X on your body for the anteriors. Boom, boom. How you're loading that is
Yeah.
basically through rotation. So it's like load and then sling. It's literally like a slingshot. Like you pull back and then it fires.
Yep. Yep. So the way it's and the sling is that thing in the back that's like holding the tension. It's
Right.
that U shape. Right. What's I get why we're saying that and why we give more importance to like the big slings, but it's hard for me to think of the body as like anything but slings. I'm only going for like a contraction that elicits like a potentiation on the opposite with its antagonist.
Yes.
So like I look at my face right now and I'm like sling. It's the only thing that there is like sling.
Right, because
So,
everything potentiates everything else. And when we talk about fascia, we have to talk about how everything is all wrapped together.
yeah. So it's I don't know if you just think of like conception of like an embryo or like the fertilization of the cell, like that's where we came. That's where we start. It's not just like, okay, the guy provides like the left leg and the right arm,
Right.
and the woman gives the body, and it's not that. It's like you start out as one thing that splits the two, that splits the four, and then you're there.
Yeah. So and the interesting thing too is like you would think that it would grow from like head to toe, but it doesn't. It just grows like it'll be here, right? And
spiral.
then this will be the head, this will be the feet, and it just keeps growing in between, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah. So they talk about like spirals and you know the shape of torus?
Yes.
Yeah, so spirals and toruses, they're like I guess.
Can you just say what a torus is for the peeps? Can you say?
Sorry?
Can you describe a torus for the people?
Yeah, it's like a donut shape where the hole on the top goes to the bottom, or like a wormhole.
Yeah, basically a wormhole.
Yeah, I think of like our main torus on our body as like we have our mouth and we have our butt, and we want to get that like the way the Earth has a magnetic field that is like kind of coming out the top and going in the bottom. That's
right.
Like how I'm thinking about like our torus, the one that's relevant to us.
So
the way you're talking about how a fetus grows, it's like it's almost out of nothing. It's like coming out of this.
Coming out of the wormhole, bro. Just emerging, yeah.
Like
crazy.
Toroidal opening or something. It's really cool.
Yes, very cool. So that you just described about the torus unfolding and the head and your butt, or I would say there's this thing, it's called craniosacral therapy, and just in my in my training I've noticed so many reciprocations between the head and the pelvis that I'm like, and also I spent a good amount of time doing Tai Chi too, and they have like these two main vessels that go exactly as you described in that torus shape, up the front, out the back.
Yeah. Yep. And like if you want to break it down smaller, it kind of feels like we got one right here in our like the neck to the cranium. It feels like there's one between the abdomen and the thorax, and then the abdomen and like the pelvic floor is where I'm noticing a lot of that, like the toroidal activity almost. And I don't know. I imagine that as the pressures of my body working through those motions. I wonder what it actually is. It's hard to say.
You could call it.
Pressures are associated with it, but it's all electromagnetism. I don't actually know what that means. I just know that like we exist on these electromagnetic fields that we sense.
Right. Yeah.
In whatever way we can. So then that's the information that we have to put words to what we're trying to describe.
It's interesting too, man, because it's nourishing to us. Like just being out